And I'd like to, at this point, call the City Council meeting of the whole for October 18th, 2017 to order. And as we move forward, I just want to mention for our moment of silence, many of us were at the visitation yesterday and at the funeral today of Assistant Chief and Fire Marshal Mike Heyman. Mike was the epitome of calm and compassion. And he had an unwavering commitment and professionalism, and he demonstrated how to be a good friend, a father, and an active proponent for the safety of all of our community. He will be missed by so many for so many reasons, and our thoughts and prayers continue to go out to his family, his fellow firefighters, and fellow police officer family, to all of us in the community, and all of those who knew and loved him. Again, I think it's important that we remember this was an opportunity not only to recognize what Mike has done for the community and see the camaraderie of all of our public safety people, but also staff and community at large. But it also sets a beacon out of how fortunate we are to have these dedicated public servants working for us. And the unanimity of that decision was very important. So with that, let's take a moment of silence, please. Thank you very much. Alderman Grip, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. Jackie, would you please call the roll?
Ambrose.
Here.
Mattson.
Here.
Dickman. Here. Grip.
Here.
Gordon.
Here.
Meeker.
Here.
Rawson.
Here.
McGinnis. Here. Tompkins.
Here.
Dunn.
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you very much, Jackie, and thank you for all of my colleagues here tonight. Again, I want to wish you a good evening, and as we begin this meeting of our City Council, I would like to welcome all of you in attendance and those who are viewing the meeting on television or on the internet. We respectfully welcome all of your comments and opinions, and please keep in mind that as you talk to the Council, you're also sharing your thoughts with fellow Davenporters and with viewers throughout our region by way of our TV broadcast. We are happy that you are participating in your city government and ask that your participation reflect the common desire we all share to make Davenport an even greater place for all of our citizens. For the children, adults, seniors, and families in our community, those in attendance and those watching at home, I thank you for joining us. At this time, we ask that you turn off or silence your cell phones and other electronic handheld devices, as they can be disruptive and interfere with the audio system here in the chamber. If you wish to address the Council on a specific item that appears on a committee agenda, you are encouraged to do so during that standing committee. You are also welcome and have the opportunity to address the City Council under the public with business portion of the meeting, which will occur towards the end of the meeting. When addressing the Council, I ask that you step to the podium, wait to be recognized by myself or the committee chair, and speak to the Council as a body and not to any single member. We ask that you limit your remarks to no more than 5 minutes, and I ask that everyone observe, and I know you all will, the commonly accepted rules of courtesy, decorum, dignity, and good taste. So thank you. Our next step is City Administrator update. Anything this evening?
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Thank you very much. We have 5 public hearings this evening under Community Development, and I'm going to ask Alderman Grip to lead those public hearings.
Thank you, Your Honor. I open the public hearings for community development this evening. Item number 1, public hearing for case number SNC 17-01, request of the City of Davenport to change the name of a segment of Forest Grove Drive east of Utica Ridge Road to Forest Grove Court. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Seeing and hearing no one, I move to close this public hearing. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. This public hearing has been closed. Public hearing number 2 is for case number SNC 17-02, being the request of the City of Davenport to change the name of a former segment of Veterans Memorial Parkway located west of Utica Ridge Road, abutting Walsh Point 3rd Edition, to East 67th Court. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment? Seeing and hearing no one, I move to close this public hearing. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? That public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 3 is a case number ORD 17-01, amending Title 6.06 for the purpose of defining and establishing a 10-foot setback for chicken runs. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Step to the lectern, state your name and address, please.
Julie Schmidt-Urban, 3603 Fair Avenue, Davenport, Iowa. I don't know if you recognize me at all. There's some new people here. But it was our group that brought the chicken thing to the city. I'm not really sure how this occurred, that there was a complaint that got to the point where it got here. But I was well aware reading the ordinance that the word run was not included with the word coop. And to me, they go together as a unit. So all the chicken classes that I taught the class, look at my dirty hands, I taught the class toward the ordinance, because chicken information's everywhere. But I was asked by Mr. Flynn to sort of highlight the main points of the ordinance so everyone would understand clearly, and therefore they would be able to follow the rules and have no issues anywhere. In fact, I found out later, teaching the classes that I did at Food Hub, there was a number of people that chose not to get chickens because I talked so extensively about the care and upkeep and etc. Mike here, Mike Angelos behind me, was also in the group. We sort of brought it forward. But he was trying to print out something from the computer and it wouldn't print. So what he has here I will read. The first question he asked is, how will the ordinance be revised, and if that passed, how will that affect the current license holders for what they are presently doing that were based on the original requirements? So that's the first question. The second one is, will the new requirements only apply to the new people that apply for a permit, and the other ones are fine, in other words, grandfathered in? Third one is, I cannot read the dude's handwriting. Can there be an exception if to whatever the new restrictions will be if neighbors all around agree? And I don't know what Mike means by that, but that's this third one. The fourth one is, I can't read his fourth one. So again, I used the tape measure and used the room I was standing in so people would understand the requirements based on visual effects, if you will. And I always included the coop and the run as a unit. So the run was never to be any closer than the 15 feet from, anyway, whatever the requirements are, they knew what that was based on the run and the coop. So again, I don't know how we got here to it being a part of the agenda and being here to change things. I would like to be part of the conversation though. We do have people that contacted us that are kind of nervous because they think they're following the rules, and I don't know who it is who the complaint. And I'm slightly concerned by possibly a neighbor that was upset with the person as opposed to just the chicken thing. So I guess that's all I have to say. I would like to be a part of the conversation for the change. All right, thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to comment? And just to clarify, at this point, this is the time where the public can come up and speak. There won't be any dialogue from the council. This will come up again under community development later on in the agenda. At that point, you can speak again. The council will also be able to comment. And then, of course, after the meeting, we can discuss this item. Seeing and hearing no one else, I move to close this public hearing. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 4 is for the ordinance for case number REZ 17-05 of Stephen and Meredith Hirsch for the rezoning of 0.65 acres more or less of real property located at 5135 Marquette Street. south of West 53rd Street and east of Marquette Street from R1 Low Density Dwelling District to R3 PUD Planned Unit Development to facilitate development of 4 residential units. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this? Seeing no one, I move to close this public hearing. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. This public hearing is closed. Public hearing number 5 is to convey the easement rights to Mid-American Energy as part of the urban homestead construction of 2 houses on the 600 block of 6th Street. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Seeing no one, I move to close this public hearing. Second. There's a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That public hearing is closed. Mayor, that concludes the public hearings for community development this evening.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. We have 9 appointments and 1 proclamation for tonight's meeting. There are a series of these that are being due to either retirements or openings or some reappointments. So just to give you an idea, we'll have more over the next couple of weeks as we finish these. We go through a process of vetting those. People apply online. And then I or some of the other staff are meeting with them, and then we bring it forward here. First, under the Civil Rights Commission, we have 2 reappointments, Judy Shawver and Nicole Bribriesco-Ledger. Under Historic Preservation, Diane Franken, who is a new appointment. And then a little bit of update on the Combined Construction Code Board of Appeals and Review. We used to have a whole series of those, 1 for plumbing, 1 for electrical, 1 for all these different particular areas. And it was very difficult to get those individual groups together under the recommendations that we move forward with both city staff and members of those various commissions or Board of Appeals, that we have one with representatives from all those different areas. I want to thank my colleagues for helping to suggest individuals, and Mike McGee as well, and the staff. So this is that group. These are all new appointments to this new Combined Construction Code Board of Appeals and Review. Gary Trees, Darren Guffey, Horace Peoples, Andrew Dasso, Dwayne Green, and Frank Ericke. So with all of those, I would ask for a motion to approve. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. So thank you all these new individuals who have agreed to serve, and we'll be hearing some more over time in some positions. Recently we had a couple of resignations, and there's a couple other filled commissions or committees that we'll be filling, and we'll be bringing those forward as well. We have one presentation or proclamation this evening, and I'm going to ask Alderman McGinnis to read that proclamation.
Thank you, Your Honor. Whereas federal historic tax credits, FHTC, and state historic tax credits, SHTC, are vital development tools that attract capital to historic rehabilitation projects that help stimulate local economies, and whereas the FHTC program, combined with the SHTC, are powerful tools that have led to the redevelopment of vacant, blighted, and/or underutilized buildings in downtown Davenport, such as the Black Hawk Hotel, Adler Theater, Renwick Building, Democrat Building, Union Savings Bank and Trust, Kirker Paper Box Company, Crescent Macaroni Building, the Sieg Iron Company Building, and many others. Because of the FHTC and the SHTC, these buildings were returned to both full utilization and to local tax rolls. And whereas, because of the FHTC and SHTC, downtown Davenport and its surrounding neighborhoods have experienced exceptional economic growth. From 2003 to 2016, the FHTC invested $37 million in 25 projects in Davenport. In addition, the SHTC has invested over $34 million in these projects. Combined, these tax credits have leveraged an additional $225 million of private investment, for a total investment of almost $296,000 million. And whereas there remain several vacant or underutilized buildings in downtown Davenport that need to be rehabilitated and that would qualify for the federal and state historic tax credits, including the Call, Capitol Theater, Bucktown, Davenport Bank, Danceland, and Hibernian Hall buildings, rehabilitation of these buildings and sites will not be financially feasible without the federal historic tax credit. And Whereas the SHTC program is also available to homeowners for the rehabilitation of historic residences. Homeowners of historic residences in Davenport have invested over $3 million into that rehabilitation of these residences and received approximately $776,000 from the SHTC program. Now, therefore, we, Mayor Frank Klipst, and the Davenport City Council do hereby proclaim support for the federal historic tax program and urge President Trump and the Congress to continue the federal historic tax program. Further, the Davenport City Council urges Congressman Dave Loebsack, Senator Charles Grassley, and Senator Joni Ernst to fully support the federal historic tax credit program and to refrain from supporting any tax reform proposal that does not include the federal historic tax credit program. Furthermore, we, Mayor Frank Klipst, and the Davenport City Council do hereby proclaim support for the state historic tax credit program and urge the Iowa legislature not to make any changes to the state historic tax credit program that would lower the annual allocation of tax credits. Dated this 18th day of October, 2017. I move the proclamation.
It has been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. As we said here, there's not a person we're delivering it to tonight, but we have a whole list of people that we need to deliver this message to. Obviously, as Alderman McGinnis did an excellent job, the amount of things and projects that have happened in this community based on these tax credits have been phenomenal. And we obviously want to continue that, and that'll be part of our message as we talk to our elected officials, both at the state and the federal level. So thank you, Alderman McGinnis, for that. Are there any petitions and communication from council members or myself? And let's start. First, we have Alderman Rawson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a reminder that the very last and final neighborhood roundtable session will be this Saturday at Main Library from 9:15 to 11:15. Community Planning and Economic Development, Bruce Berger and Matt Flynn will be doing the presentations around zoning, neighborhood planning, and etc. So if you have a couple of hours, come on down and join us. It should be a very interesting conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Rawson. Alderman Gordon.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to relay a story, something I witnessed today, which was kind of encouraging in light of the fact that we were bidding farewell to Chief Heyman later on in the morning. I was walking to my office in downtown, and there must have been a 911 call for medical assistance. And I looked over, and it was a green fire truck. And my initial thought was, our fire trucks aren't green. Why is there a green fire truck in Davenport? And then I looked even more closely, and it said Arsenal on the side, so it was responding from the Rock Island Arsenal. And so then I just had this very moment of clarity that, you know, the reason why this was all happening was of just the nature of those who are in public safety, right? So our colleagues on the Arsenal were covering the city of Davenport, probably along with other departments in proximity to Davenport, so that our Davenport firefighters could be present at the funeral of Chief Heyman. And so, you know, it just was, for me, a very powerful few seconds to witness that this morning and to see the support that our fire department was getting from their colleagues, brothers and sisters in other fire departments around the immediate area of Davenport. And I thought it was, for me personally, and if others witnessed it, I hope a fitting tribute to Chief Heyman and to, I think, to law enforcement and public safety more broadly speaking, that when tough things happen in that community, they're there for one another. They support one another, and they support our communities and ultimately support all of us in this great nation. So I just wanted to relay that. I found it to be a touching moment on a otherwise fairly tough day in Davenport. So thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Gordon. I just wanted to add to that very quickly. When you saw the honor guard, all of the departments from so many different areas were represented, both fire, police, medic. They were all there as part of that activity. And I just wanted to mention as well, Chief Bickford, you could tell this was a longtime colleague of his. And he talked to us today that I should be at the meeting tonight, and we told him, don't be at the meeting tonight. Be with the family, both your family, both personally, the Heyman family, and with your firefighter family. That is, we have plenty of coverage and plenty of support, but I just wanted to let you know that in spite of all of that, he thought he wanted to be here. And we told him, no, there's other places for you to be. We know the city is well protected and covered. So that's another good example of the support that we all want to share, but the dedication that all of our first responders, but all of our city staff, whether they be floods or fires or incidents, whatever it is, they're a tremendous group of people ready to make the ultimate sacrifice and commitment whenever they need it. So thank you for that. Alderman Grip.
Thank you, Your Honor. I want to remind the public and encourage my colleagues to both show up and also spread the word on the open house for the Main Street Landing design guidelines proposal, which will be taking place on Thursday, October 26th at the Figgy from 4:30 to 6:30. You can drop in, and we are looking at design guidelines for what is going to be a premier park in the city of Davenport known as Main Street Landing. We're going to be looking at light fixtures, benches, trash cans, bricks, all of the little details that make a great park, and we'd love to have your input. And then also on a lighter note, I want to send out congratulations to the Central Blue Devil football team, who won their 6th game last week. It is the first time they've won 6 games since 1993. I think that's when Alderman Gordon graduated.
I was a junior. I graduated in '94.
He graduated in '94. So I did not see that. I went through a lot of lean years at Davenport Central, a couple of winless years, but I've been watching that team for a long time. Coach Sacco and that group of young men have done a tremendous job representing the city of Davenport, and I wish them luck this week as they face Bettendorf for the district championship.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. Seeing no other comments now, I would like to move on to, we have some action items for discussion. Our first area to be discussed is community development, and again, Alderman Grip will lead that discussion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I open the meeting for community development this evening. Item number 1 is a second consideration. Ordinance for case number ROW 17-05, request of Genesis Health Systems at 3200 West Kimberly Road to vacate a portion of a sanitary sewer easement which would be located under the proposed medical building. Existing facilities located in the area to be vacated will be located adjacent to the proposed building and the remaining portion of the sanitary sewer easement. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Anyone from council? Seeing no one, this item will move on. Item number 2 is a second consideration ordinance for case LL 17-01, being the local landmark designation of the John F. Kelly Company Wholesale Groceries Building located at 225 East 2nd Street. The purpose of the designation is to recognize the John F. Kelly Company Wholesale Groceries Building historically significant to the city of Davenport. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Anyone from the council? Seeing no one, this item will move on. Item number 3 is a first consideration ordinance for case number SNC 17-02, being the request of the city of Davenport to change the name of a former segment of Veterans Memorial Parkway located west of Utica Ridge Road abutting Walsh Point 3rd Edition to East 67th Court. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment? Anyone from council? Alderman Mattson.
Just to clarify, this is a very small piece, so just so everybody knows.
Seeing no one else, this item will move on. Item number 4 is a first consideration ordinance for case number SNC 17-01, being the request of the city of Davenport to change the name of a segment of Forest Grove Drive east of Utica Ridge Road to Forest Grove Court. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Anyone from the council? Seeing no one, this item will move on. Item number 5 is a first consideration ordinance for case number ORD 17-01, amending Title 6.06 for the purpose of defining and establishing a 10-foot setback for chicken runs. To start this off, could I have Matt or Bruce just come up and discuss what is being changed and why? Thank you.
I'm Matt Flynn, Community Planning and Economic Development Department. I can tell you what we're doing, maybe refer to some of my colleagues to give you a little bit of background. Again, maybe a disclaimer, this is in Title VI of the Municipal Code. Zoning is actually Title 17, but we offered to put together, actually if you look at in terms of the number of words that we actually changed in ordinance is very, very small. So we were asked to add a little bit of a buffer, an additional 10 feet from the property line to a chicken run. And I know Julie had mentioned, well, a coop is the same as a chicken run. I'm not going to debate that, but we just tried to include that that 10-foot buffer again as requested through Tom Warner and the council. So we've done that. There may be others that can provide a little bit more background.
Thank you. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? State your name and address, please.
Mike Angelos, 3545 Fair Avenue, and I'm reading the last question that Julie wasn't able to read. By the way, I sent this all to you also. Can the ordinance decrease the property line requirement further from the neighbor's house? So if you're farther away from the neighbor's house, can we write the ordinance somehow to alleviate that 10 foot or maybe make it 5 feet if, for example, you're 100 feet away from the neighbor's house? Thank you.
Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to comment? We will move to Alderwoman Tompkins.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, I actually brought this request to staff and to council, so thank you for doing some research on this. The question is, I think there was basically some confusion in regards to what is actually a part of the coop and the run and how that all goes together. So I was quite surprised to learn that although the coop, we had set that has to be 10 feet back, the run actually, according to our current ordinance, can be up against a property line. And I did receive some concerns. And so therefore I did make this request, and I appreciate everybody going through this and working forward. I would also like to ask if we could please waive the second and third reading and move this along, because as new people come in, this could be obviously another 6 weeks versus if we can get this done in 2. I would greatly appreciate that. As far as for people who currently have it, it's my understanding, no, they are grandfathered in. So it's people who are popping up new chicken coops in the future. So thank you.
Was there a motion on the floor?
I want to let everybody discuss, so thank you.
I agree, thank you. And I did have a question before I go to Alderman Mattson for Alderwoman Tompkins. So are you saying that what you're saying is we believed that the 10-foot was part of the original ordinance, but since it was silent, you wanted to state it explicitly in the ordinance to be clear about that. Is that correct?
Correct. When I had staff go out, or when staff went out to check out a concern, I was told that the coop is 10 feet back, but the run is along, and therefore it follows the current ordinance. So in order to prevent issues from the future, we had to change the ordinance.
Thank you. Alderman Mattson.
Thank you. I get your point. If we're grandfathering, I don't understand the point. I mean, if the complaint came from someone who's concerned about this, it should apply to everyone. So otherwise, why would we do it? Just my thought.
Alderwoman McGinnis.
Thank you. Alderman Manson, I assume because the language wasn't clear, it was silent, and so not, a run being different than a coop. And I think that's why, in fairness to grandfather, people who already have built their run this way would probably be appropriate. We don't want to penalize those who are already there, whether it was a misinterpretation or not.
So could I ask for a clarification from Council Warner? So the city's legal position would be that it was silent, that even if it was the council's intention that the run was included in the 10 feet, that since the ordinance was silent?
Mr. Chair, yeah, I had a discussion with Matt Flynn about this, and we thought it was best to make sure that it's clear. There's certainly an argument that there's a difference between a coop and a run, and we didn't want to get in a situation where we're litigating with people over the run. And in discussions that Matt had, he felt that the idea was to try to, that the council had the notion that the coop and the run were one thing or one unit. So this is a clarification to try to get back to that original notion or concept.
Thank you. Alderwoman Dickman.
Question about the grandfathering. If a property owner makes modifications to the chicken run, will they then also be required to relocate it since they're making modifications?
Matt could probably speak to this more specifically, but in general, if you make a modification that's material, you then have to come into compliance with the current regulations.
Okay.
So it really depends on the magnitude of the change.
Okay, so hopefully we will get to the point where the run is as we're going to make it with all homeowners. Thank you.
Are there any more comments from the council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 6 is a
Thank you. Do we want to can I make a motion then to waive second and third?
That's what I was waiting for, yes.
Sorry. Yes, I make a motion to waive second and third reading and pass this on the first reading next week.
All right, there's a motion and a second. All in favor? All opposed? All right, we will make that note for item number 5. And move on to item number 6, which is a first consideration ordinance for case number REZ 17-05 of Stephen and Meredith Hirsch for the rezoning of 0.65 acre, more or less, of real property located at 5135 Marquette Street, south of West 53rd Street and east of Marquette Street, from R1 Low Density Dwelling District to R3 PUD Planned Unit Development to facilitate development of 4 residential units. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Anyone from the council? Alderman Mattson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Staff, first question. We had over a year ago a request, and we pushed it through because there was such a need to get a development done there in an opening right next to this place. And to this point today, there hasn't been a piece of grass touched. Now we have this request for the parcel basically next to the previous one. So my first question is to whoever'd like to take this, is there any action going on with the previous one? So I'll ask for that one first, and then I'll go to my next questions. Because I've had a few people talk to me about this.
Again, Flynn, there have not been any permits issued for the
Right. So
corner.
we were pushed hard to suspend the rules and do all this, and nothing over a year's been happening. Now we have this one next to it. Okay. So my next question is, a couple neighbors are upset. They got a notice that on the 10th or the 3rd of October, the P&Z noted that they approved the rezoning, but on August 15th, or on August 1st, staff recommended for this to be tabled. All right. On August 15th, the minutes show this case remains tabled, no action. September 5th, this case remains tabled, no action. September 19th, the case remains tabled, no action. September 19th, then staff indicated there's a condition in the commission's bylaws for a timely review. Staff also indicated the applicant's engineer is working on the concept. Nothing, no communication to anyone was articulated after that. And then it was up for debate on the 3rd, and no one was notified that it came off the table and was up for discussion, and P&Z voted to do this. So my second question, obviously, is how did this come off table without anybody being notified, and how come no one was able to speak to this or even know about the meeting, and now it's here with us?
Well, we do typically just notify property owners actually twice, once at the Plan and Zone Commission level and then at the council, which is actually the official public hearing notice. So we do it as a courtesy. I agree with Alderman Mattson that there was a significant period of time that went between the time when it was tabled for more information to when the time that it came back. So again, it would have been outside of our normal procedure to notify people again, but we didn't do that, and I apologize for that.
Okay, yeah. So now it's at us, and so there's concerns. These are going to be duplexes, okay, not single-family homes, and we have some concerns with duplexes around this area. Is anybody? I'll just ask. Anybody in the audience that has anything to do with this? Right. So we've asked. Okay, sir. Are you one of the petitioners or? Okay, sir. So it's up to you if you want to think. So so the neighbors' concerns is they were wanting to speak, they were wanting to talk, and it kept getting tabled and kept getting tabled. Then it got voted, and nobody got to speak. And now it's before us, and there's a lot of concern with this because of the previous action that never happened, and we were pushed to do it, and nothing's been done. So is this a coordination effort now between the two? Is this duplexes gonna? What are they? There was supposed to be a site plan, working engineer concept done, and nothing's been seen. I understand, right?
No, that was the reason why it was tabled. We did not have the commission didn't have enough information to bring it to this point.
So I apologize, sir. Did you see a site plan? No. Okay. So I make a move to delete this because this there's no way we can treat people like this. Okay. So that's my motion. And if nobody wants to second that, then I'll make a motion to table. Oh, you'll second.
I'll second it.
Okay, so there's a motion to delete, and there's a second. So
There's a motion and a second. There is no discussion on this. Is that correct? We go straight to a voice vote. Would you please call the roll? Is that
Tompkins. Oh, I'm sorry.
we've got a point of clarification?
and I'll apologize to
Right?
my colleagues. I'll pull that back if you want to wait for if there's more discussion. I apologize if there's more discussion. I didn't think there was. So
No, thank you. Is it okay if I speak?
Yes, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to clarify, so if this gets deleted, I just wanted to hear kind of what happened and where this goes from there before we make a vote.
Under the city code, if a rezoning matter is withdrawn by the petitioner or it is voted down by the council, that project or a similar project to it cannot come back for a year. If it is deleted, it actually could come back.
Alderman Ambrose.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, this is unfortunate, like Alderman Mattson said, and I would suggest we table it and notify all the neighbors, start with the neighborhood meeting, and then make sure they're down here at City Council when they're aware it's going to come in front of the City Council, and make sure all the aldermen, if they need any additional information, but you know, this is absolutely unfair to the neighbors, and I agree with Mike, so I'll make a motion to table.
Second.
There's a motion and a second.
Yeah, so just to clarify for people that are following along, the previous motion to delete was withdrawn, so there could be discussion. Now there's a motion to table that's been seconded that is non-debatable also. On any of these, I would suggest just roll calling it because I don't know that it would be unanimous for sure.
And just one point of clarification, are we talking one cycle, Alderman Ambrose?
It's going to take us however long it's going to take. It might take longer. So, you know, the ward alderman's going to meet with the neighbors, with the developer, and then make sure the neighbors know what's going on down at City Hall.
I would suggest that's a lot, so I would suggest it should be able to be accomplished in 2 cycles, certainly.
Table for 2 then.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to table this for 2 cycles. Is there a second?
Second.
Alderwoman Tompkins has seconded that. So you say a voice vote? Roll call.
Tompkins,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Ambrose,
Yes.
Mattson,
Yes.
Dickman,
Yes.
Grip,
No.
Gordon,
Yes.
Meeker,
Yes.
Rawson,
Yes.
McGinnis.
Yes.
9 yeses, Your Honor, 1 nay.
All right. Item number 6 has been tabled for 2 cycles. That will take us to item number 7, which is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute documents necessary to convey an easement to Mid-American Energy on city-owned property in the 600 block of East 6th Street. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to discuss this item? Anyone from council? This item will move on. Item number 8 is a resolution setting a public hearing concerning the proposed conveyance of vacated Rogalski Drive, Pleasant Street, Ripley Street, and 3 alleyways located in Block 1 and 2 of Noel's second addition to the city of Davenport. St. Ambrose University is the petitioner. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Anyone from the council? Seeing no one, this item will move on. Item number 9 is a motion approving the local objectives for the Community Development Block Grant Program for the Year 44 Annual Action Plan covering July 1, 2018 to June 30th, 2019. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Anyone from council? Seeing no one, this item will move on. With that, I would entertain a motion to put items 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, and 9 on consent, item number 5 on discussion, and then item 6 to be tabled for 2 cycles. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? That concludes the community development, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. Our second area to be discussed is public safety. Alderman Mattson will chair that discussion, and Alderman Dickman will set the agenda.
Thank you, Your Honor. Items for public safety discussion. I'll read. The first one is a second consideration of an ordinance amending Schedule 1 of Chapter 10.96 entitled Snow Routes by adding and deleting various streets. Anyone from the public concerned? Council. Very good. Item 2 is the second consideration of ordinance amending Schedule 6 of Chapter 10.96 entitled Speed Limits by adding Gain Street from Locust Street to 5th Street as a 30-mile-an-hour street. Anyone from the council? Anyone from the public have a concern? Sir, please state your name and ward or address. Thank you.
I'm Joseph Charlton. I live at 509 West 15th Street, and it already passed about there's going to be 30 down there, but it should be 25. But I see one on second about the four-way stop. Should make a four-way stop at 17th Street and 16th Street. And if the cops pull them over, should you check the cell phone? I know people's going to have the people who's driving. The kid's going to be on the cell phone, and when they pull them over, the officers talk to them, and then the kid's going to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, council. Alderman Ambrose.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and pass this on the second consideration. The neighbors are all supportive of this, and we'll see how 30 works, and maybe we'll have to go down 5 more in the future.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Okay, all in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Okay, Jackie, that note, right. Item 3, second consideration of an ordinance amending Schedule 5 of Chapter 10.96 entitled Four-Way Stop Intersections by adding Utica Ridge Road at Veterans Memorial Parkway / Forest Road Road Drive. Anyone from the public? Council. Very good. Item 4, first consideration, ordinance amending Schedule 7 of Chapter 10.96 entitled No Parking by adding Wilkes Avenue along the east side from 16th Street south to the alley. Anyone from the public concerned? Council. Very good. Item 5, first consideration of an ordinance amending Schedule 9 of Chapter 10.96 entitled Intersection Traffic Signals by adding Elmore Avenue at Veterans Memorial Parkway. Anyone from the council? I'm sorry, anyone from the public? Now anyone from the council? Okay. Alderwoman Dickman.
Just curious if this, speeding this up, would it speed up the installation process at all? Or if there's any impact on that? This is just the paperwork that goes along with it.
Brian Shad, Public Works. The parts are still in order on this. There's quite a long lead time for the mast arms, but we will put up a temporary stop sign in the meantime. Thanks.
All right. Any other council? Very good. Item 6 is a first consideration of an ordinance amending Chapter 9.40 entitled Projectiles and Toy Pistols by renaming the chapter Projectiles, Toy Pistols, and Fireworks and adding a new section 9.40.030 to allow for the illegal use of consumer-grade fireworks on specified dates and times. I would ask Mr. Warner to clarify for the public exactly what we're doing here, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As everyone's well aware, we had a large window created by the state for the use of fireworks in the state of Iowa. So a lot of places like Davenport allowed the folks to use those for most of that window, if not all of that window. And just to see what happened, there was a lot more usage, I think, than a lot of people expected. And so this is an ordinance that will narrow that window down to July 3rd and July 4th from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. and on New Year's Eve. I can't remember the beginning time, but it will end at 10 to 12:30 a.m. Actually on January 1st.
Okay. And the fines are?
The fines are
$250,
400, and $625.
Thank you. $250 first offense, 400 second offense, $650 third offense, right? And fourth and fifth, and
Yeah,
whatever.
$625
By then,
is the maximum.
we have a
and-
problem by then. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Warner. Anyone from the public have a concern with this or comments? Okay. I want to make one point, and I'll let people discuss, but I'm going to make a amendment or a motion, however, Mr. Warner, you asked me to do it. There's a last sentence in there that talks about others or other events or other things. I'm going to make a motion or request to delete that sentence. But if anybody else wants to talk, I'm happy to entertain that. Alderman Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know that we've been coordinating kind of this effort with the county and the city of Bettendorf, and are there other municipalities involved in that, or is that just the 3?
We worked in partnership with the county and Bettendorf to come up with this window. It was my understanding that the county was then going to subsequently work with Eldridge and LeClaire to do the same.
Okay, so would this amendment or a change to this language have any impact on our partners? Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Sorry. Thank you. Alderman Ambrose.
Actually, Mr. Chair, if I could
weigh in
on that.
Okay.
The amendment to delete this extra opportunity, the Bettendorf ordinance does not have the extra opportunity in it.
So that even makes more sense to get rid of it,
Well,
in my opinion.
yeah, the reason it's
just
in
my
there,
opinion.
it's to leave a future council with some flexibility to designate another date if there's some celebration that comes up. That's a citywide thing, but that's why it's in there. It's flexibility.
Thank you, Mr. Warner. Mr. Ambrose, Alderman Ambrose.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. You know, if that's deleted, Tom, can a future council make it an amendment to put an additional date for an event?
Yes, all this did was
Thanks.
allow for that by resolution as opposed to doing an ordinance change.
Anyone else? Okay, so I'll make that motion. There's a second. Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Okay, so we'll note one opposed. Okay. All right, and that's Alderman Grip. Okay, thank you. Number 7, resolution closing various streets, public grounds on the listed dates. There's one, St. Ambrose University, Galvin Fine Arts Center, SAU Theater Children's Show, school matinee November 29th through December 1st, 2017, Wednesday 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m., and Thursday, Friday 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. Closure location, Gain Street from Locust to Lombard. Anyone from the public concerned about those streets? Alderman, from the public. Council, Alderman Ambrose.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, first off, this is an incredible event that St. Ambrose puts on, and we're fortunate to have St. Ambrose in our community, and I think most of the kids in the city of Davenport have the opportunity to go see this theater productions, so it's a great, great program.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? All right, very good. Sorry. Item 8, a motion approving beer and liquor license applications, new licenses. I have one to add, so I'd ask the council, I'll read it for you. Radisson Bucktown Lodging has asked for it to be added, 111 East 2nd Street for license type B. They've informed that new owners will take over on November 1st, so they'll need to get this through the process. Police has approved, fire is waiting to approve, we understand why. They'll probably give that approval, so they'd like to get it on so it can go. So I'll ask for a motion to add this. There's a motion, second? All in favor? Okay, so that's the first one, Radisson Bucktown Lodging, 111 East 2nd Street, license type B. And then the other one, Caraba Shriners, 511 Veterans Memorial Parkway, October area, October 28th, Oktoberfest, license type B. Anybody from the public concerned with either of those two? Council. All right. Then I'll ask Alderwoman Dickman to set an agenda.
I move that item 2 be placed on discussion to be passed on second and third consideration, and that all other items be placed on the consent agenda.
That's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Mayor. We're back to you.
Thank you very much, Alderman Mattson and Alderman Dickman. Now we're at third area to be discussed is Public Works, and I'd ask Alderman Ambrose to lead that discussion and Alderman Dunn to set the agenda.
Thank you, Honor. I open the discussion with the first item being a resolution accepting the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and pavement associated with the villas at Pheasant Creek. Anybody from public? Council? Public? Come on up. State your name and address, please.
Yes, Colin Woods, 6711 Double Eagle Drive, Davenport. Reason for actually talking to you guys here today, I've had some conversations with some of you, is I'm part of the development company, TW Development, that's developed this land, but also Diamond Builders, who's been building the homes there. Reason I wanted to just have a piece of, or a few words here with you guys here today, is because I wanted to let you know by the acceptance of this here today, the city's been working very hard with us. We've been working hard with the city to expedite this acceptance. And in working with the city administrator upon this acceptance, the Diamond Builder side of it's going to be allowed to start permitting tomorrow with your acceptance to be able to start building homes. Reason for that we've been really pushing hard for this is due to a phenomenal program you guys have in place called Davenport Now. Some things I think that I just want to really encourage you guys on. When we started that development, I never realized the success of how that would go out there to the extreme that it has actually happened. And I want to let you all know that that program right there is an enormous, enormous asset to the city. 75% of our clients coming in there right now, and that's 48 sold homes in less than 12 months, which is an enormous new tax revenue to you guys. 75% of those clients have come from your neighboring competitive cities, I guess you could say. They're coming from Davenport, or from Bettendorf, from Pleasant Valley, from LeClaire, from multiple places in Illinois. And so I want to encourage you guys, because I know that deadline date is coming up, I believe it's May 31st. That's what we've been really after expediting this for, is so that we could, in fact, meet those deadlines with the people who have contracted in this second phase so that they can take advantage of that program. One of the things I'd like to encourage you guys is for whoever would be in charge of this is to take a strong consideration of extending that program, amending that program, whatever it may be. I think it's been a tremendous, tremendous asset for the city. It's been a tremendous asset for us, and it's a primary reason for many of those clients buying there versus here in these other cities around the area. So
All right,
just wanted to get that out there.
We're glad to hear that because it has been a great program, and we are going to discuss the future of it.
That's good news.
So good luck.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody from the council? Alderman Meeker.
Yeah, I wonder if we could expedite this by moving second, third readings. They're under a weather gun here for, oh, I'm sorry.
We're going to get it done, Gene.
Yeah, okay, we're going to get it done. Very good. I know they're in a hurry to finish.
All right. I'm going to read the next 4 items and then ask for input. Number 2 is a resolution assessing the cost of boarding up buildings at various lots and tracts of real estate. Number 3 is a resolution assessing the cost for brush and debris removal at various lots and tracts of real estate. Number 4 is a resolution assessing the cost of sewer lateral repair at various lots and tracts of real estate. And number 5 is a resolution assessing the cost of weed cutting at various lots and tracts of real estate. Anybody from the public? Council? Number 6 is a resolution awarding the contract for the rehabilitation of back porches at Annie Whitmire and Swanson Construction Incorporated of Bettendorf in the amount of $187,997. Anybody from the public? Council? Number 7 is a resolution exercise of the second year option awarding the 1-year continuation of the FY 2017 contract with sewer repair programs at Haggerty Earthworks and Muscatine in the amount of $250,000. Anybody from public? Council? And number 9 is a resolution approving the contract for FY 2018 sewer lining program Phase 2 for Municipal Pipe Tool Company LLC of Hudson, Iowa in the amount of $466,252.67. Anybody from the public? Council? Number 8 is a resolution exercising the second year option and contract, a 1-year continuation FY 2017 contract sewer repair program to Hometown Plumbing and Heating Company of Davenport in the amount of $250,000. Anybody from the public? Council? Alderman Dunn, please set the agenda.
Thank you, Alderman Ambrose. I would entertain a motion to put all items on consent, please.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thanks.
Thank you very much, Alderman Ambrose and Alderman Dunn. Our last area to be discussed is finance, and Alderman Tompkins will lead that discussion.
Thank you, Your Honor. I opened up finance. We have 2 items for discussion tonight. Item number 1 is a resolution approving the purchase of in-car camera package from Axon at the price not to exceed $216,000 and authorizing Mayor Frank Klipsch to sign and manage any related agreements. Anyone from the public might wish to speak on this item? Anyone from council? I also just wanted to say thank you to our administration staff for providing our police officers with the tools that they need to do their jobs. So this is an exciting purchase and opportunity, so thank you. This item will move on. Item number 2 is a motion awarding a contract for the Pharmacy Benefits Manager, PBM, to RX Benefits. This is going to save the city about $250,000 annually. So again, another exciting opportunity. So thank you, staff, for keeping an eye out and looking for different ways that we can save money. Anyone from the public wish to make a comment about this? Anyone from council? Seeing none, this item also moves on. Therefore, I make the recommendation to move both items to the consent agenda. First and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you. The last piece that I have is a list of purchases that is just for your information. Lots of exciting things going on. And again, thank you, staff, for keeping up with everything. So with that, finance is closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Tompkins. And are there any other ordinances, resolutions, and motions this evening? Seeing none, is there any public with business this evening? If you'd like to, come on up, give your name. And again, just as a point, this is where we hear information from you. This is not the discussion period. We take information at this point.
Thank you. Oh, I just lost my notes. My name is John Dutay. I live at 1110 East High Street in Davenport, and I want to also thank the administration staff, Bruce Berger and Matt Flynn and Mr. Warner, for putting up with my frequent and sometimes rambling emails regarding the planned institutional development policy, and just getting some clarity on the language that triggers the PID. Mr. Flynn especially has been really helpful in helping me understand what that language says, and wondering what your intent of that language is. The language says, existing and proposed campus uses on properties in excess of 40 acres in area shall be required to obtain the planned institutional district within 5 years of the effective date of this ordinance. That law, that ordinance, is being interpreted as 40 contiguous acres. So parcels that add up to 40 acres will trigger the planned institutional development. That seems like a lot in a neighborhood like mine, where Genesis is purchasing a lot of properties and either putting those properties into development or just sitting on those properties. Of the 117 properties that Genesis owns in the whole county, 62 of them are right there in my neighborhood around Lombard, Bridge, Locust Street, and Eastern. So they really do have a Genesis campus going on right now. But because the law is being interpreted as contiguous, it's not adding up to 40. It's at 36.04 right now. This is not about Genesis. As a kid, I got many stitches repaired at Genesis or St. Luke's. Doctors and nurses in the neighborhood worked at Genesis. This is not about Ambrose. I went to Ambrose. My dad went to Ambrose. My sister went to Ambrose. Those are all three really great institutions that prosper and do great things for our community. But to what expense are their growth and success to our neighborhoods and the neighborhood vitality that we all remember back in the day? I'm really glad I'm here with our fan of the Davenport Now program, because I love the Davenport Now program as well. I'd love to see some incentives like the Davenport Now to repopulate our center city, because with the growth of those three campuses, we're losing a lot of residents and we're losing a lot of schools. So I just want to thank the staff over here, because having worked for the city of Washington, D.C. for 8 years, I know how obnoxious constituents can be like me, and they've been courteous and friendly and professional, and I just really applaud the city of Davenport for all the good things you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Susan Weir. I live at 1229 Scott Street in the 4th Ward, and I am currently running in the 4th Ward as well. I wanted to let you know that. As I've been out talking to neighbors, there are concerns that they have regarding infrastructure, regarding the plan that the city has. And if I could step back just for a moment, I retired from teaching after 21 years in the Davenport schools. And during that time, I saw elementary school after elementary school close, more elementary schools closed, and now J.B. Young is closed. And I wonder if, and this is a rhetorical question, of course, I wonder if the school district has a plan. Because if the schools are closing, the feeder schools are closing, then falls the high school. Well, this is my neighborhood, and I was at Central for 16 years, and this is my neighborhood, and I care about it very much, and I care about the people in the neighborhood as well. So the rhetorical question I would ask the city is, do you have a plan that connects all of the elements, the schools, housing, crime, all of these things to keep our neighborhoods together? And Mr. Dete mentioned the three big businesses, St. Ambrose, Palmer, and Genesis, which are businesses that have the right to exist in our community, and we love them all for different reasons. But what about the neighborhoods? What is there a plan? Does the city have a plan to keep the neighborhoods from being gobbled up? So this is what I'm hearing from the neighbors, their concerns. Will the parks just go away? Will they're already feeling issues? Their parking is being taken away from some of these big institutions, and these are things that concern us little people down here who live in the streets, and I'm one of them. And so I'm just going to put that rhetorical question out there. Does the city have a plan for the neighborhoods? Thank you.
Okay. And again, I would consider, if you have questions, talking to city staff, again, our community development, community planning and economic development, city administrator all have answers to those questions, as do many of us. Anybody else? Seeing no one else, is there a motion to adjourn? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Any opposed, same sign. Meeting adjourned.